Hi everybody, this is Angie from Tourangie.com, and I'm in the downtown area of Charleston, South Carolina. And I just want to point over here to the left. This apartment complex right here on the left here, Morrison Yard. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I understand it's got to be expensive, but I was not prepared to see the costs of it when I Googled it. It could be $12,000 a month for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And it could be a $4,000 a month for a studio apartment. I couldn't believe it when I read it. But anyway, of course, this is downtown Charleston, South Carolina. We're going to be stuck in behind tons of traffic. I'm not driving today, so I'm able to turn the camera different directions so you can see different area. Of course, there's the Ravenel Bridge over there on the left. I've written about it before and talked about it before. But we're close to the port where a cruise ship used to dock. Remember when Carnival would dock here? But this is just a little tour of downtown. We're going to talk about some Charleston history. I'm going to point out some buildings possibly. Just let you see downtown Charleston and all of its hustle and bustle and neat. It's a neat place to visit. I highly recommend coming down here. It is kind of expensive to stay in the downtown area, but I've done it. I've done it a couple different times, and it is nice to really stay down here. Lots of great places to eat, neat bars, lots of history, which I love. But you could also just, stay outside of this Charleston area and drive down for the day to visit some of the places down here. So let's get started talking about some of the history here of Charleston. So Charleston, or back then it was known as Charlestown, was formed in 1670, but it wasn't actually at this section of the town. It was actually on the west bank of the Ashley River, but then relocated to this area in 1680. It was basically called Charleston or Charlestown due to King Charles II of England. And of course, England is the one that founded this town or this city. And it was the 5th largest in North America at that time, in the late 1600s. So it's pretty big considering. Anyway, it remained unincorporated throughout the colonial period, and its government was handled by a colonial legislature and a government that was sent by Parliament. Election districts were organized according to Anglican parishes, and some social services were managed by Anglican wardens and vestries. Charleston adapted its present spelling upon incorporation in 1783. But population growth in the interior of South Carolina moved basically the state legislature and everything, state government, to Columbia in 1788. Charleston still remained one of the top 10 largest cities in the United States through 1840. Charleston has a major significance with American history. Major slave trading port. It's said that half of the enslaved people imported to the United States arrived in Charleston. The slave market is here, that whole market area. You can visit. It's now mainly a tourist attraction. There's shops and restaurants all around, but that's downtown Charleston. Everywhere you look, there's something neat. Neat historically, but there's all these amazing restaurants and shops and stuff. There's a great little candy store there near the slave market. We're not too far from it here. But something interesting to point out, in 2018, the city formally apologized for its role in the American slave trade. I thought that was pretty neat. King Charles II granted the chartered province of Carolina to 8 of his loyal friends, known as the Lord Proprietors, on March 24th, 1663, and in 1670 Governor William Sale arranged for several shiploads of settlers from Bermuda and Barbados. The settlers established what was called Charlestown at Albemarle Point on the west bank of the Ashley River, just a few miles northwest of present-day city center. Charlestown became the first comprehensively planned town in the 13 colonies. Its governance, settlements, and development were to follow a visionary plan known as the Grand Model, prepared by the Lord Proprietors by John Locke. Because of Carolina's fundamental constitutions were never ratified, however, Charlestown was never incorporated during these colonial period. Instead, local ordinances were passed by the provincial government with day-to-day administration handled by the wardens and vestries, like I had mentioned before. At the time of European colonization, the area was inhabited by the indigenous, on whom the settlers declare war with in 1671. The settlers initially allied with the Westo, the northern indigenous tribe that traded enslaved Indians. The settlers abandoned their alliance with the Westo in 1679 and allied with the Cusbo instead. The initial settlement quickly dissolved or dwindled and disappeared, while another village established by the settlers at Oyster Point at the confluence of the Ashley and Cooper Rivers in 1672 thrived. In 1680, that second settlement formed, replacing the original Charlestown, which today is commemorated as Charlestown Landing. The second location was more defensible and had access to the harbor, and that is Charleston, South Carolina. So a smallpox outbreak happened in 1698. Then there was an earthquake in 1699 that caused fire and destroyed about a third of the town. During the rebuilding, a yellow fever outbreak killed about 15% of the remaining inhabitants. So Charlestown suffered between 5 and 8 years, basically the first half of the 18th century. Developed with the reputation of at least a healthy locations, the 13 colonies for ethnic Europeans, malaria was epidemic, although malaria did not have a high mortality rate as yellow fever. It was just an illness at the time. It was a major health problem throughout most of the city's history before dying out in the 1950s after the use of pesticides helped to cut down mosquitoes that transmitted it. So that's some interesting information. I never really thought about malaria in the United States, so that's something that's pretty interesting. Are you noticing the people, the tourists, the hanging out on the streets? That's Charleston for you. Look also at some of the pretty colored buildings. You'll see some pink buildings. It's really pretty. It's like a Bermuda pink. But anyway, some more on history. I'm sure you all have maybe heard about Blackbeard. So from the 1670s, Charleston attracted pirates. The combination of the weak government and the corruption made the city popular with pirates who frequented the area. Charlestown was a place that Blackbeard visited for several days in May of 1718. Blackbeard released his hostages and left in exchange for a chest of medicine from Governor Robert Johnson. So like I had first mentioned, the first settlers were obviously from England because this was an English town, but there was also settlers from Barbados and Bermuda, and they were planters in the area, and they brought enslaved Africans with them, and they had purchased those in the West Indies. After that, early other groups that immigrated to this area were the Scotch, Irish, Germans, all kinds of people. But in 1708, the colony's population also had the black Africans. These had been brought to Charlestown via the slave trades, first as indentured servants and then as enslaved people. In the early 1700s, Charleston's largest slave trader was Joseph Ragg, pioneered the settlement involving settlers' involvement in the slave trade. It's an estimated 400,000 captive Africans were transported to North America and sold into slavery. 40% are thought to have landed at Sullivan's Island off the coast of Charleston. Free people of color also migrated from the West Indies, being descendants of white planters and their black consorts and unions among the working class. In 1767, the wharf was constructed, and it could hold 6 ships at one time, and a lot of these ships ended up being ships full of slaves, and they were sold directly from the ship. Devoted to plantation agriculture that depended on the enslaved labor, South Carolina became a slave society. It had a major black population from the colonial period until after the Great Migration of the early 20th century, when many rural blacks moved north and Midwest to escape the Jim Crow laws. Also during this time, Native Americans were kidnapped and enslaved from about 1680 to 1720. Approximately 40,000 Native Americans, men, women, children, were sold through the port. Mostly they were sent to the West Indies and sold, as they thought that keeping the Native Americans in the United States led to, they were prone to escapes and revolts and stuff. Okay, right here, we're going to stop talking about history. You can see over here on the left, that's the Battery. You can walk. The water's just across there. You probably got a little glimpse of it. They've been doing some road work and different things down here, so we're going to end up taking a right, basically just right up here. And there's a huge park over on the left. It's funny, that park, if you're anything familiar with Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates, that's where they were digging in that park at one point, hunting for a buried treasure. There's a neat TV show about that. It's pretty neat. But look at the beautiful pink houses here. There's all kinds of beautiful colored old houses, historic places. As you can see right now, the road work, you have to take this right here. You can't go any further. But this is the park I'm referring to. It's a beautiful park. Sorry about the glare from the window. You're going to see a little bit more of that as we turn around. But here's some more beautiful places. I love the architecture down here. The old cemeteries are beautiful. Some of the roads with the oak trees with the Spanish moss hanging off of it. It's just a beautiful. I love Charleston. Some of the downfalls of down here is, oh my gosh, the traffic. Honestly, it's so expensive to live down here. I'd move down here in a heartbeat if I could afford it, but there's no way to even afford it. Even at almost 45 minutes to an hour away, prices are expensive, especially housing, of course, but gosh, the traffic up to Somerville, even up that far, it's pretty rough at times. So, and trying to find a place to rent or a house to buy it's expensive. But my friend who is driving in this video, he used to live down here when he was a kid, and the house that he used to live in, it was in a predominantly, like, it was a black neighborhood, and the house that he used to live in is still there, and he doesn't understand how, but it's like selling for like $400,000 now. So it's unreal how much things have changed down here. And he was in North Charleston, not even in downtown Charleston. So just like at the beginning of that video, that beautiful apartment complex at the left, being able to afford to pay the monthly rent at those places, I can't even imagine. So, but Charleston is a beautiful area to visit. Come down here, spend 2 or 3 days. You really don't need any more than that. Look at that. That's beautiful right there. The streets are beautiful. The people, honestly, it's well, it's like a drinking area. There's lots of bars, lots of restaurants, shopping. It's just a really cool place to visit. And then on the outskirts, you could go to the beach. There's, Sullivan's Island, Folly Beach, Isle of Palms, going down to Kiowa. Oh, did you see that? The little horse carriage with the horse. That's pretty neat. A neat thing to do down here. But I would definitely suggest coming down here for a visit. Enjoy learning about Charleston, seeing the sights, and even go on over to Mount Pleasant. There's always nice places anywhere around Charleston. Well, I do believe I'm going to be cutting this video off here soon. Look at that. Isn't that cool? It's beautiful here on Meeting Street. But we're still in the downtown area. Like I said, we drove down and now we're driving back out. There's plenty of things to see and do down here. So anyway, I'm going to be cutting this video off. This is Angie from Tourangie.com. Come to my website, read my blogs, make appointments so I can help you plan your next travel adventure. We've talked about some history, talked a little bit about just, some of the interesting things to see and do down here. Not much about that, but there's so much to see and do. So take you a little trip to Charleston. Talk to y'all later.